Min woke up in the middle of the night, his breath heavy from a deep sleep. The room was silent, the faint moonlight streaming through the curtains, casting shadows in the corners. But in that quiet space, Min suddenly heard a faint sound. Footsteps, soft and rhythmic, like someone was moving outside his bedroom door. He furrowed his brow, rubbed his eyes, and tried to listen carefully. The footsteps didn't stop. They continued, as though they were getting closer. Min felt a cold sweat forming on his back, a sense of unease swelling inside him. Ever since his parents had divorced, Min had been living alone in this empty house, but he had never felt this alone, this afraid, before. Min cracked his eyes open, careful not to move too much. The door to his room creaked open. A dark figure loomed in the doorway. Min immediately realized that this was not someone he knew. It was a tall man, dressed in black, with his face covered by a strange cloth, only his bloodshot eyes visible, filled with malice. Min quickly recoiled to the far side of his bed, holding his breath. The man didn't speak a word. He walked into the room, slow but deliberate. It was clear he had done this before. Min's heart nearly stopped as he saw the man drag something from the shadows, his parents' lifeless bodies. Their corpses were drained of life, blood pooling on the floor, their eyes wide open, as if still filled with fear, but with no power to scream. Min inhaled sharply, trying to remain motionless, not daring to make a sound. He knew he had to play dead, to pretend he was still asleep, or he would be discovered. The man lowered the two bodies into the chairs, then, without hesitation, began to write something on the wall with their blood. His movements were precise, as though he had done this many times before. When he was done, the man stood back, admiring his work for a moment. Min couldn't bear to look any longer. The fear gnawed at him like a wild beast tearing at his heart. How could this be happening? Why had his parents been killed in such a brutal way? But for now, he needed to stay silent. He forced himself to breathe steadily, trying to appear as though he were still asleep. Suddenly, Min felt a cold draft under the bed. He froze, not daring to move. The man was still standing there, but something else was stirring beneath the bed, where Min lay. "Don't move," Min whispered to himself. "Don't do anything to make him know." But the growing fear was overwhelming, his chest tight and his heart pounding in his ears. Min could hear the man's breath, slow and steady, as he inched closer to the bed, moving so silently that it felt like the very air was holding its breath. Min felt a chill of death in the room. The oppressive silence felt suffocating, and he could almost feel the man's presence, drawing closer, like a predator closing in on its prey. Then Min felt something cold moving under the bed, a faint scratching noise, like something was crawling out from the darkness below. His eyes slowly adjusted to the dim light, and when the faint glow touched the shadows beneath, Min saw a dark shape slowly creeping up. But then, something caught his attention on the wall across from him, the blood-written words the killer had scrawled. Min swallowed hard, struggling to focus on the strange letters. When he finally made out the words, his hands trembled, and cold sweat beaded on his forehead. "I know you're still awake." At that moment, under the bed, Min felt something stir. A hot breath, heavy and labored, emerged from beneath it. It wasn't the man's breathing. No, it was something else, something far more sinister. Min tried to stay still, but the sense of terror surged inside him. His body screamed to move, but he fought it. He couldn't let the man know he was awake. He knew that if he did, the killer would have no mercy. The cold sensation continued creeping up his legs, slowly wrapping around his feet, and then tightening, like an invisible hand gripping him. Min's heart raced faster, but he dared not scream. Everything around him seemed to spin, and the world blurred, like it was slipping away. Something cold slithered around his feet, then up his legs. Min felt a sharp, suffocating pressure, like the darkness itself was closing in on him. He could barely breathe, could barely think, as the terror consumed him. The silence under the bed was no longer silent. It was alive. It was moving. Min could hear the creature moving closer, the sound of its breathing growing louder. He tried to concentrate on staying calm, to stay perfectly still, but the pressure was unbearable. The thing under the bed was coming closer, inch by inch. He could feel it, could almost hear its whispers, as though it were speaking directly into his mind. And then, just as Min thought he could no longer bear it, He felt something, a cold, sharp touch against his skin, a feeling so vile, so alien, that it sent a jolt of icy terror through his body. The thing was now inches away from him. Min held his breath, waiting for the worst, knowing that the darkness under the bed had taken on a life of its own.